let's talk about the three main things we'll be focusing on in this course. The first thing we'll focus on is our hero of the course, Sockwell. Sockwell stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. It's a very formal name for a very simple concept. Sockwell is like a Google search for your Salesforce org. Using Sockwell, you can programmatically search your org for any records or settings. For example, we might want to use Sockwell to search our Salesforce org to see if we had Mark Benioff in it as a lead. If he's in our org, our Sockwell query would return a result like this with his record information. Similarly, we can use Sockwell to search our org for an account named Salesforce, and our Sockwell query would return us all possible results. We'll get into a lot more detail on Sockwell in the next module. The second focus of this course is to learn how to use Apex and Sockwell together. Apex and Sockwell are like peanut butter and jelly. Separately, they're pretty tasty, but nothing I go out of my way for. Put them together though, and you have yourself a delicious treat. This is what combining Apex and Sockwell looks like, and this is what you're going to be able to write by the end of this course. Check it out. Sockwell is embedded directly into the trigger itself. Don't be fooled into thinking Sockwell is a whole separate language you need to learn. Sockwell is merely an extension of Apex. The two were meant to be used together, and it's rare you see them apart. Now, why do we need to combine Apex and Sockwell? Well, Sockwell lets you access records that aren't in trigger.new. Wow. Think about that for a moment. Sockwell lets you access any record in Salesforce, which means Salesforce becomes your playground to do whatever you wish in it programmatically. Let me say this again to make sure you understand the gravity of this power. Before Sockwell, we're only able to access or modify records in trigger.new or new records that we create in our triggers. But now, with the combined powers of Sockwell and Apex, we can literally access and modify any record we want in Salesforce. Anything at all. No limits. No weird restrictions. Anything. And the crazy thing is, that might not even be the best thing we're going to learn in this course. That's because the third and final focus of this course is to learn how to write useful test classes. Oh no, I've said the word now. Here comes the collective eye roll. Test classes. The world's most interesting subject. But I tell ya, there's a big difference between the test classes we used to write and the test classes we're about to write. Let's take a trip down memory lane and look at this important lesson we discussed all the way back in Apex Academy number 1. There are 2 requirements for test classes, and up until now, we've only really satisfied the requirement on the left, 75% code coverage. As for the requirement on the right, well, we've always just ignored it. We can't have an assertion fail if we don't make any assertions. So we've conveniently skipped this requirement. But it just so happens that assertions are wildly useful to us, and choosing not to use them was doing ourselves a big disservice. And now that we're going to have Sockwell under our belts, we're ready to make test class assertions. Trust me, this is a very good and useful thing that will add a layer of protection around your org and possibly save your job. We'll go into assertions in detail later on in this course. So, to summarize, up until now, we've been writing test classes purely because Salesforce forced us to. Sure, it's satisfying seeing 100% code coverage from our test classes, but really, Salesforce benefited more from those test classes than we did. That changes today. With the power of Sockwell, we're now ready to make test classes work for us. Take that, Mark Benioff.